Good evening. Tonight, the first ever edition of the Fred Factor, a very explosive premiere episode where we finally prove the critics wrong. Yes, I will prove single-handedly, by myself alone, with no help at all, drug prohibition actually does work, thanks to the Canadian military. Caution! You are about to enter a fact-free zone. Fred's Factor begins right now. And welcome back, folks. Thank you very much for watching this inaugural edition of the Fred Factor, where each week we will get into the issues, go behind the headlines, and get to the truth as decided by me. This week we are going to waste no time getting right into the issues. We've argued for a long time. We've definitely had a lot of discussions about this subject. We now know we finally have proof. We can silence all those ridiculous people out there, those loons really, who seem to think that drug prohibition is bad. Finally, we have evidence published in this very newspaper, the most trusted source of local news, the Vancouver province, proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that yes, folks, drug prohibition actually works. And how do I know this? Because they stood up for the average Canadian and those poor, mistreated Afghans when they stepped up and said, hey, if you test positive for drug use, if you test positive for any kind of marijuana use at all, you are out of the military. You cannot serve in Afghanistan. And this is exactly what we need, folks, because let me ask you this question. Do you want a bunch of crackheads armed with AK-47s representing your country? The answer? Not on my life, you ain't. Not on my watch. But we always believe here on the Fred Factory to give everyone a fair opportunity. Everyone should have the right to hear both sides of the story, as long as I agree. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring in one of the members of the Marijuana Party of Canada, someone who has stood steadfast in his belief that drug prohibition is bad and should not exist. And of course, I can only be talking about Abbotsford's own Tim Felger, who joins us live today from Abbotsford. Tim, my friend, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Tim, I'm going to get you to speak a little bit louder than you might normally hear because, unfortunately, our satellite feed to get you on the program live tonight did not work. So we're working out the kinks here. But Tim, welcome to the program.
Okay, thank you.
I guess the first question I have for you, Tim, very simply is, I mean, does this not finally prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that drug prohibition works because it has saved countless lives in Afghanistan?
I got nothing to say to that, Fred, other than if I was a soldier and going to Afghanistan, the first thing I'd do is smoke a joint. Because what this article does is prove that if you smoke marijuana, you can't be a member of that elite ruling class and go out and kill people because your government tells you. So I think it's a good deal that people smoke pot. They don't go to Afghanistan. So I agree with you.
You agree with me?
Yeah, it gets you out of being a soldier and going to Afghanistan because the war is wrong.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, didn't you serve at some point in the army yourself? I mean, weren't you a Marine or something?
No, actually, in all the time of soldiers, if you look at the history of soldiery, there's been a lot of people that before they go into battle, they would do some sort of drug, something like that, or look at Vietnam or something like that, which is when I was young. I don't really have all the answers on this one, Fred, because it's sort of give it to me real quick. But I can tell you that the idea with marijuana is that you want to undermine the foreign policy of the United States. So if you smoke pot, you're not allowed to participate in Afghanistan. I think it's a great reason for Canadian soldiers to smoke pot. One more reason for Canadian soldiers to smoke pot, so they don't have to fight in Afghanistan.
You think it's a good idea that these Canadian soldiers don't have to smoke pot, so they don't have to serve in the Canadian military? They should be damn proud to be serving in the Canadian military and to lose their life for the people of Canada and to protect the Afghan people.
Well, we're not protecting any Afghan people. If we did...
Well, of course not, because we're going to have a bunch of crackheads going around with AK-47s because they're high on crack, or we're going to go around there and kill innocent people. That's what we don't want, Tim.
Well, we're killing lots of innocent people now. I don't think somebody smoking a joint's going to make any difference. But this is very interesting what you say. Now listen to this. I agree with your argument 100%.
Well, thank you.
If you're a police officer or a soldier, let's test them, and if they test positive, let's kick them out of the military. And let's kick them out of the police force. But I'm all in 100% in favor of testing police for P-test police.
No, we don't want to test the police. The police are there to protect us. If we test the police, I mean, what kind of message would that send to those young children in at school who want to become police officers and will have to substitute to these random drug tests of yours? I mean, there will be no police. How are you going to be protected?
Well, I think that it would send a message that if you hold a gun, you should be clear thinking. And, I think that we should not only test them all, but we should require them to read different books and open up their minds.
You want the police to read books?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Tim, I cannot believe what I'm hearing. You expect the police, on the budget that we have, you expect the police to not only protect you, but to read as well.
Yeah. As surprising as it may sound, yes.
I can't even, you know what, that sounds to me like one of these elitist arguments. Just because you can read, sir, just because you can take a book and understand it, doesn't mean that everyone should have to read. What happens to equality in this country, damn it?
Well, it's going down. The education level...
Well, yeah, you want police to read. I mean, what better example is there of everything that's wrong with drug prohibition right there? You want the police to be able to read. And I just say to that, sir, that is preposterous, and that will not happen on my watch.
I not only want them to read and be tested, but I think we should do like honesty testers to entrap the dishonest police officers, offer and take bribes for some girl in the street or something like that, so that we can find out how much integrity our police officers really do have.
Well, I'll say this to you, if I can just make my point here. I really believe that the people in Afghanistan do not want to have people protecting them that are going to be forced to read books, that are going to be high on crack, and are going to be doing a disservice to the Canadian national pride, because I don't know if you know this or not, Tim, but Canada is a country that everybody wants to live in.
Well, yeah, everybody wants to live here, including the Americans, and they'll be here shortly. They're going to take over.
They're going to...
I don't think we...
Well, yeah, because all the police are going to be busy in the library reading books instead of securing our borders, if you have your way, sir.
Yes, and I want to take the guns away from the cops and the border guards and the sky-trained people, too.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah.
So just no one's going to have any guns. That's your solution. That is your solution to the problem right now, is to take guns away from everybody.
Yeah.
This is the face of drug prohibition, folks. Tim Felger wants people to drink, or drink probably as well, but also to have more joints so they don't have to serve in the Canadian military, and then we don't have to go into Afghanistan and kill a bunch of foreign people. Is that your argument, sir?
One more, and they have one marijuana plant on their balcony. If they live in an apartment, if they live in a house or something, put a couple in your garage. Grow more. Overgrow the government.
Grow more. Overgrow the government. This is your argument.
Yeah.
Tim, I don't know whether I should come over to your house right now and punch you in the face, or whether I should say you are the embodiment of Canadian freedom.
The embodiment of Canadian freedom.
Well, that's a scary proposition. Tim, thanks very much for joining us tonight on The Fred Factor. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
that is Tim Felger live from Abbotsford, folks, with his preposterous views. Can you believe that? He wants the police to read like they don't have enough to do. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of The Fred Factor. Next week, we have a very exciting, very interesting, and provocative edition planned for you as we finally get down to the roots and ask the question, is spanking your child the best way to discipline him or her? That will be the subject. And, of course, a live interview with O.J. Simpson, because he's very important, and we wouldn't want to miss that. Because we're going to be there to give you all the big stories, because you know what? We're looking out for you. For Something Cool News, I'm Fred Johns. Thanks for watching.